Well, it's been a mild autumn so far, but we can't rest on our laurels because you know what happens here in the UK. It can be mild and they're forecasting another mild week, but then suddenly we'll get cold weather and you'll get caught out with plants that need to have treatment done them or need to come in and be protected. Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. So I've looked before at various other plants that need to be protected, but this is really about what was Gaura, Oenothera, and also the salvias as to what you need to be doing and whether you need to be bringing them in or how you protect them in the garden itself. Now, with the Gaura lindheimeri, because it's easier for me to say, Oenothera lindheimeri, they do this in this sort of weather. These bits start to break. So they're broken off. They're still alive. They're attached to there. They're still flowering or were flowering away. There's still life going into there, but you don't need those pieces. So to start off with, this is what a plant can look like in your garden. So the lindheimeri types tend to be quite branchy and good. This one is Rosy Jane. This is one that we bred here at the nursery. It was the first of the Picotee coloured ones. It's a very, very pretty plant. Has beautiful foliage in the spring. But at this time of the year, we've had a lot of rain, we've had a lot of wind, and it's dashing these bits down. So you're ending up with these pieces looking like this. So the best thing to do to start off with, if the plant is in the ground, is that you get rid of those dead pieces like that. You just want to cut those off, and that initially just tidies up the plant exactly. But it's still looking a little bit untidy now. All that we're needing to do at this time of the year, we are not going to go for a rosy chop. We're not going to go right down to ground level. This is where I have to be very good with my snips, and I have to say to myself, no, this is a pruning exercise. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get this down to a height whereby it's not going to rock all of this in the ground, because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get rid of this weight to stop this rocking, giving you a hole at the base here, and then water and frost gets in at the base and kills the plant. So basically what you're looking for, now obviously these might snap again, so you'll just be taking probably one, a bit heavier, and you have to take flower off. I'm sorry, you've got to cut the flower off at this time of the year. So these ones which are going this way, they're not really that pleasant to look at. So you'd cut them off, and you'd cut them off to a leaf. So you go down here and you're going, right, well, I'm going to, if you say ignore the flowering bit, start where it's growing, you're going to go halfway back on those ones. Then the ones which are upright, you're just literally going to grab them together and you're going to take them off at a point where you're just cutting off all the flower. And yes, I am going to be cutting off all the flower like that. And then you have a plant which is nice and sturdy, and it's not going to get buffeted, because when you think about it, it had all this heavy weight up on the top here. You think how much force the wind will have rocking backwards and forwards. That would rock the base at the bottom and create a hole where the water gets down. Now that plant is ready for the winter. Now if you've got them in containers, then you would tidy them up like this and you would put them somewhere. Doesn't have to be frost free, just into a cold greenhouse or a cold frame, somewhere like that, somewhere protected where they're not going to get masses of rain into the pots, because when they're in a container, this is a much harsher environment than when they're in the garden, because in a container it holds a lot more moisture. They will get completely frozen in here as well. So if you can put them somewhere where they'll stay drier, that is absolutely fine. So a cold greenhouse, they can go underneath on the floor in the greenhouse, absolutely no problem as well. And then that would be fine. If they're in the garden, you're going to leave them like that. You're going to give them a mulch around, which is absolutely fine, no problem at all. So that would be what you would do if they were in the ground. You can see even this one, it's got floppy bits, so I would cut to here, take all of this here, cut to there, and then you have a neat and tidy plant to go through the winter with. This is our cut back, tidied plant. this is where the stems were, where they are. So you cut them back there, and then you have that tidy plant to overwinter. Recently I set up an email newsletter, and if you want to sign up, then please click in the comments link below or scan the QR code on the screen now. If you sign up, you get an exclusive video. This is a video of me explaining colour combinations and plant combinations in real gardens. So we've looked at the Oenothera and what we're going to do with those. Now we've got different types of salvia. Now some of the salvia are relatively hardy and can be left out in the garden. But what are you going to do? So things like this, which is amethyst lips, which has got these beautiful amethyst bases and then white at the top. So this is the purple form of hot lips. They are actually quite a good strong plant, and they will stay outside in the UK perfectly well. You don't want to leave them overgrown like this, because again they can wobble around. And just look what this is doing. So you can see this is how they're going to grow in your garden as well. So not only are they growing from here, they grow along the ground a bit and come up further along, which is why they're so successful. And it means that if the top growth looks as though it's really not had a good wintering, once you cut back down in the spring, it will come from below ground level as well. So that is something to be aware of. Now, a lot of people hate to take this last little bit of flower off, but if you were to suddenly get some really heavy rain, you will get this happening. If you get snow, then again it will do that, and then it will snap bits, and then you're going to have a plant which is not happy. So it's better off to treat them in a way whereby that you're just giving them that tidy up prune. None of this is heavy pruning, this is just literally tidying up. So we've got branches that are going down at the base here, so we're just going to tidy those up. So we're just going to take it in fractionally from the side. So you don't have to do it individually, you can take a piece up and go, right, I'm just going to cut across like so. You're going to cut across like that. So we've got half of this plant looking really good. Always go back to where you can see nice green growth. So basically what you're doing is you're taking off some flower and a little bit of growth, but that is all you're doing. So I'm going to do half of this plant so that you can see what we're doing. Yes, I've had to take off some flower, but you know, it's better for the plant if you do it. So you've got this lovely growth here, and then you've got all of this wobbly stuff there. So it's much better to have it like that, clean and tidy it up so that it looks in this way, much tidier, and that will be the way to go through the winter. And then when we get to the spring, and we actually will talk about the spring on both of the plants. So this is our overwintering. We are taking it down to half that height, so that's that one. We took the Oenothera down to that height, so that is that one. That's what we're going to do now. I also have another salvia here, which has got really very wayward. And this is what they can do. You know, this one is Silk Stream. It's a microphylla type. And again, it's growing from basal pieces. It's got some lovely new young stuff here. It's got a bit of damaged growth in there. Well, that's absolutely no use at all. But this is not good, because if this gets flattened down like that, you're going to get breakage in the base there. So this has got to be brought in at least halfway. Now, these stems, which are right over on this side, I would take them back to where I see some nice growth at the side, and I would take that all off like so. Now, because it's in a pot, you can see that's very lopsided. And then again, I would take these down, and again, you're going to have to get rid of a bit of flower, but it is the best thing for the plant, and it gets rid of any of this excess weight that there is in the plant itself. And so we can come down, if you feel that you can't go too far at one time, then take a little bit off the ends to start off with, and then see what shape you're left with. I've got some horrible straggly bits here, dead flower stems, etc. So I've taken a bit off there. what, it's growing out of the bottom of its pot. So it's not really looking fantastic, is it, like that? So we need to make sure everything is around about the same size across here. So just go to where there is a bud and take it. So you've taken the first lot down to be able to see what you've got. This is a little bit silly at the top here. We'll take that to there, and take those to buds. Now we have a much better shaped plant. Now these ones are on the borderline. You can, if you're in the south of England, leave these out, but if you've got them in the ground, you might be wanting to think about digging them up, or if you're going to leave them in the ground, then you'd cut them to the half height, you'd mulch well around the base of them, you'd have taken cuttings earlier in the summer just in case. If you've got them in containers, then you'd cut them back to this, you'd put them into a cold greenhouse. They don't need to be warm, they just need to be in a cool greenhouse, and again where they stay dry. We have cut these to where there are buds, and there where there are 2 buds. So that is the silk stream. That is a really lovely, let's see if I can find a flower. There we go, that's a really lovely coral red one. It's a super plant, really nice. And then we have the big growth there on the actual amethyst lips, and this is the bit that I've cut to half height, and these are the straggly bits that I've left. All right, so what I've shown you so far on these plants is that we would be taking the Oenothera down to that, and I'll just cut this one back to make it look the same, but then again you can see, so all I would do with this is we would be going back to there, and we would be taking off the flower there, and then we have 2 very nice plants that are nice and tidy. One, they could be in the garden, or 2, if you got them in pots, they could go inside. That is what you do now for the autumn. However, in the spring, what do you do then? In the spring, you will have a plant like this, and it will be starting to send up growth at the bottom. This will have all died, it will have defoliated completely, and then that is when you do the rosy chop, and you will be going down to where you see nice growth, and you will be taking the plant right the way down to that sort of level. So now you have this, and that is what you would be seeing in the spring. You'd be seeing lovely new shoots like this. You'd also be seeing new shoots coming from ground level on this as well, and that would be it. So that is your overwinter, early spring. I'm not telling you a time of year from the point of view of a month that you do it, because our seasons are different. So you've just got to think of the seasons. At the moment we're in a late autumn, and late autumn is what you're doing with this for them to overwinter. And then in the spring, and it can be an early spring, it can be a late spring, you're better off waiting until it's slightly later spring and you see all of the lovely new growth. Get rid of all the old stuff and take it down to there, and away they go. So that is your Oenotheras. Virtually the same thing will happen with the salvias. So we've got this one, which is the silk stream, which, as I said, has got beautiful growth here coming through at the bottom even now. And if you were putting this inside, you might take it down a little bit further, but sometimes it's a good idea to just leave it like this. And what you would do in the spring with this one, again, you'd be looking for where it is coming off. You don't want it to regrow from these horrible bits. You want to get a nicer thing going, nicer growth going on. You'll be able to see in the spring all of the dead stuff. So you can take out all of the dead growths first of all, and that is a really good way of being able to see what you've got to carry on working with. And that is all of the dead growth there out of it, so you can see it's reduced it by quite a considerable amount. I would like to go even lower on this for the spring, and I would be chopping down to where there are nice shoots like so, on all of these older branches. They would be going to there. You will then have, that's an old bit, you will then have these lovely new shoots coming through in the spring as well, and then it's going to grow from that size of plant in the spring, and up it goes to the size it was that before I started chopping it, because that is all a year's or a season's growth for it. And this you can do because they're going to be in a cold greenhouse, so they're going to be starting a bit earlier. So as soon as you see them putting off lovely new growth, get them down, get a good amount of growth going on there. New plant ready to go. This one's ready to be potted up, and off it goes. So that's the silk stream. Now, I didn't finish off tidying up the rest of this. Let's just do this quickly so you can see what you would be overwintering it like. It would be overwintered in this sort of state as a nice shrubby growth like so. And then in the spring, you want to be taking this down, because this is what people do a lot wrong with these amethyst lips or the hot lips or anything else. They leave them really quite leggy, and then they don't want to cut them back because suddenly they come into flower. No, you need to cut them back. They have got some lovely young growth coming in at the base here, like this stuff here, that will all be coming through at the base. So you take the old growth down to as low as you can in the spring. Now this is not happening now. This is for spring, so this is where you'd be going down to. And luckily, because this is a really well growing plant at the moment, when I cut it back, you will be able to see that there are new growths here. And those will be still be fine, but it will put up more as well. So what you will see on your plant is lovely new growth like this, all coming through, and your plant will grow away from that level. If you don't want all of this, which would be under the ground and coming up, then you can cut that back as well. You will get a much better plant if you do that in the spring rather than leaving all of that horrible woody stuff there for it to go on, because all that happens is it'll get bigger, 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 and then it'll collapse. And that's what you don't want. You want to keep it nice and prune it back, and in the spring off it'll go and away it'll go. It'll be beautiful. You can give it pruning through the summer. You can give it every now and again, give it a prune, because they will grow quite quickly. So hopefully that gives you some idea of what you should be doing with all of these and how to look after them and to be successful in growing them for oncoming seasons. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.